I'm Elizabeth Kerr from New Leaf Counseling, and I'm going to be talking to you in a three-part series. This is the first one about self-harm or self-injury. The first thing I wanted to note is that this is not just a phenomenon restricted to teenagers, although they are at higher risk. A study last year by the Mental Health of America found that about 15% of teenagers had either tried or were actively self-injuring. A much higher number of college students, various studies showed anywhere from 17 to 35% were also either attempting or had actively self-injured in the past 6 months. And then the overall population was about 4%. So this is an issue that crosses age lines, gender lines, race lines, socioeconomic class lines, and really affects basically a lot of people that you may know and not even know that they are struggling with it. So in this first video, I'm going to talk about causes of self-injury because it's often very hard to understand why someone might start to self-injure or what the cause might be of the self-injury. So one of the things that I like to start with is describing how people who self-injure often have these feelings of intense internal emotions that are not visible. They're invisible. We don't show on the outside often what we're feeling if it's that overwhelming and that confusing and that painful. So one of the things about self-injury, and by the way, self-injury can include more than just cutting. It can include burning, bruising by hitting your head against a wall. It can include all kinds of different things, but statistically cutting is the most frequent, so I'm just going to use that for the video. So when someone is feeling all of these incredibly intense emotions and they don't know how to get it out, one of the things that they can do is make that pain visible. So when you self-injure, let's say just a cut on your inner arm or somewhere else, it's usually somewhere very hidden, but you are actually making a wound and externalizing your pain. You're showing, look here, this is where it is. This is where I hurt. I am injured. So it's not all internal anymore. You're externalizing the pain. And that can be a kind of relief for a lot of people who are really struggling. Another one of the factors or causes of self-injury is the desire to feel anything at all. A lot of people who self-injure have this pervasive numbness or dullness. They feel so depressed that they feel nothing. And in that instance, pain in the form of self-injury is better than nothing. They just want to feel something. And so self-injury takes the place of feeling any kind of other emotion. At least they can control that. And control is another huge factor also in self-injury, being able to control something. Another thing that is important is to think about self-punishment. There's an enormous amount of shame and guilt that goes along with persistent self-injury. These are people who have self-injured consistently. And then I think the last thing that I want to mention when we're talking about causes is the fact that when you self-injure, or when anyone self-injures, there are actually endorphins released in our physical system. So physiologically, we're rewarded for self-injuring, and that's one of the ways that the self-injury can become addictive or a ritual and can perpetuate itself. So that's where we're going to end for now, is talking about the causes, and then we're going to move next in the next video to talking about myths about self-injury, and I will see you there.